Like with fasted training, it doesn't work for women. So within about half an hour of waking up, your cortisol level naturally spikes. And then to help stop this from happening, if you have something small in the morning, like 10 to 15 grams of protein and a couple of grams of carbs, that can stop that spike from happening. So it doesn't have to be a lot, it's just something that to put in the body. So then you're supplying the body with the glucose. The glucose gives the body fuel, so then it's there accessible for the exercise.
Melannie Mulholland, a fitness expert and nutrition consultant with over a decade of experience in the industry.
It's not about being skinny, it's about being strong. It doesn't matter about the number on the scale, what matters is your body composition.
Welcome, Mel. It's so great to have you here.
Thanks.
So let's start with your journey. So you've been a fitness expert for over 10 years now, and you've been instructing at Cheyette Fitness for about 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm also a member there. And I really think it's one of the most unique fitness centres and gyms that I've ever been to. I mean, as you know, I've lived in Singapore and London. I've spent a lot of time in Hong Kong and New York, and I've always been to gyms in those cities. And they've never had this sense of community and sense of everyone's on the same playground, so to speak. When I first went there, I was just blown away by how welcoming it is, but how everyone is made to feel themselves. No matter what fitness level you're at or you're on, no matter what journey you're on, no matter where you come from or who you are, everyone's really welcome there. And I think that's all down to you guys, to Sarah Cheyette, to yourself, to Hannah, to all the other instructors. You really make everyone feel at home and confident within themselves as well.
Yeah, I mean, that was, I know Sarah's aim was to make sure that classes are diverse, so they're suitable for everyone. And I think within the classes, I mean, even in the gym now that she's expanded, it does offer that diversity. You know, we don't single anybody out in the classes and make sure that everybody, regardless of fitness level, regardless of their age, that they are able to do and join in with the classes.
Yeah. And you must have seen so many different friendships cultivated between all the women, because it's mainly women between kind of 35 to 60 years old.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we get either side as well. But yeah, that is predominantly the age range. And there's been some really nice friendships formed, not just between the members, between instructors and with the members as well. You know, we don't just see members at classes, we see them outside socially, and that's that's really nice. That we've built that. It's like a community. Yeah.
And it feels that, you know, Sarah and yourself and all the other instructors really have an investment in people's well-being. And I think that's where your journey really began, with perimenopause and menopause.
Yeah.
All these women coming
all these
to you.
Scary conversations. They were pretty, it was a lot. Quite often they're saying about the menopause, and like you said, they're struggling with weight gain, even though they're eating exactly the same. They're fatigued in the classes. You know, and the body's changing, hot flushes, night sweats, and you know, some of the stories that they told me, and I'm like, stop, I don't want to do this. You're putting me off. It sounded really, really scary, and traumatic. You know, and I think it does have that stigma behind it. Menopause, it's like the dreaded M word.
Yes.
Because there isn't enough knowledge or research that's been done on it to better help support women through the journey. So that's when I started my eyes were open to what journey was ahead. And at the time I was researching more, looking into research that was coming out that were based on females. So over the past 5 or 6 years, this is where more research has been done that's female based on science and nutrition, sports science and nutrition. And previous to this, it hasn't been. It's all been male data because a woman's hormonal profile is complex.
Too changeable, with the hormones.
Yeah, so quite often we see that female data has been debunked and just gone off male data. So I was on the course of finding out more about this, finding this really interesting and implementing it myself as well into my regime, you know, my nutrition, my exercise, and then went down the route of understanding more about menstrual cycle and menopause, because it just didn't sit well, like that women had to go through this with very, very little support out there, and it shouldn't be feared.
No.
You know, and that's why I wanted to create something to help better support women through this transition.
Yeah, and it's just that talking about it, that's that first step, isn't it?
Absolutely.
To verbalising the symptoms, because as women over the last 20, 30 years, it's always been like, you know, just suck it up. And
or if you go to the doctors, when you can get an appointment, and they're just very quick to HRT. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with HRT, but there are other ways to help mitigate the symptoms through exercise and nutrition. It doesn't have to just be HRT is the answer. There are other ways, other avenues to go down to help.
To support that overall holistic approach, isn't it? So you could be on HRT, but also being mindful about what exercise is better for your body during that stage in your life, what nutrition will really support your body, down to like what time of the day to eat certain foods. But many women don't recognise that early signs of perimenopause, which can, I know you were saying it happened in your late 20s and even early 30s. So what are some of the first kind of indicators that women can be aware of that they may be starting the perimenopause?
So usually it's a change in menstrual cycle.
Yeah. That's
usually quite a good way to see that things are changing.
Yeah.
So this can be from the duration of the cycle. It can be the flow becomes heavier or lighter. So it's really useful to track your menstrual cycles. So if they're not already doing the tracking everything else on smart devices, you know, how we sleep, how many calories we're burning, how many steps we're taking, yet we're falling short on not tracking menstrual cycles. So a really good idea for anyone that is still having menstrual cycles to track them. So then you can see whether there's any change in your pattern. Also, it's then really useful to see how you're responding through different waves of the cycle. There's an average cycle, 28 days, and then through the cycle you see changes in the sex hormones. So you've got 3 phases. So first phase is follicular phase, days 0 to 14. At this point, it's low hormone, so everything's pretty plain sailing. And then day 14, you're at ovulation, so that's where estrogen heightens. And then as we move into luteal phase, then estrogen and progesterone both increase.
Interesting.
So as these changes happen, both physically and mentally, you are impacted by that. So if you're tracking your app, you then can see.
Sense.
So it's like, I know a week before my period, I'm not the same human being. I'm not a nice person. Thomas describes it as a change of personality, and it very much I've become a monster, and I know that, so I can anticipate it. So things like I can't sit well rested in a house that isn't clean. And if I know I'm going to be feeling quite irritable and sensitive and a bit more irate, then I know, right, I'm due on next week, so this week I'm going to get a little bit wound up. So why don't I get all the housework done the week before? And then I've got that sense of calmness around me to help bring me back down.
Absolutely. It's all about awareness, because I mean, I wear this Aura ring, but I've been tracking my cycle since I actually got my eggs frozen. So I came back from Singapore when I was 36 and I got my eggs frozen. Of course, you have to track your cycle then with the follicular phase and know when to jab you. And that's when I first started tracking, so 8 years ago. And it's been really empowering for me, especially when you're craving carbs. You're like, oh my God, I can't stop stuffing crisps and chocolate in my mouth. What's wrong with me? And it's normally around ovulation time, and then when your period's coming on, you crave more carbs, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So in your luteal phase, you sort of need maybe like 150, 200 extra calories, in calories a day of carbohydrates, because progesterone's heightened, so that's pulling in carbohydrates to your endometrial lining.
Oh, interesting. So
that is why you crave it, is because your body is utilising it for it. There is a reason why.
Interesting. It all makes sense. I know, and your estrogen levels drop, don't they, once you've started your period? Yeah. Like day 1 or day 2. And I've noticed that and a lot of women will, but I become incredibly fatigued and tired. And that's because your estrogen is dropping, isn't it? So just making sense of your cycle is just being aware. And then you'll see patterns as well. So if you're logging the symptoms, you'll start to pick up patterns. Yeah. And then that's when you can put your exercise around those patterns as well. So like you say, when you're hormones are starting to drop after your cycle, after you've had your period, you might then start to feel more energized and stronger, and that's when you could really go hard at it at the gym. But then the week before, you start scaling things back. You have a deload week, just so then if you sync it in with your cycle, you'll get more from your workouts. So that time when you need to be looking after yourself a bit more, it's a time for stretching and maybe a bit of yoga and walks in the park or whatnot. And then it's the more HIIT exercises, the more high intensity, when you've got that more energy. I mean, if you can do it, you can, like, it's fine to do it. But if you're feeling like today's not the day, then absolutely, like, scale things back. And what, aside to just tracking your cycle and understanding kind of what exercise will be better for you at certain stages, what is your other advice for exercising when you're going through peri and meno? Because I've heard of this phrase, sit.
Yes, right. So
what is sit? I mean, I know what HIIT is, but what is sit?
So sit is sprint interval training. Ooh. So it doesn't have to be sprints. So as soon as you say that, someone they're like, oh my God, sprints now. No, it doesn't have to be sprints. So it can be any exercise, but you go as hard at it as you can for 20 to 30 seconds, and then you have a good amount of recovery. So that's like a 2 to 4 minutes recovery, and then you go at it again as hard as you can. So if we're doing this truthfully, we're looking at achieving, so you've got a RPE, the rate of perceived excursion, of like 0 to 10. 0 being you're laying on the floor doing nothing. 10 is you're going to really hard as you can. And that is the number that we're aiming for in these intervals, 20 to 30 seconds. And if you've never done this style of training before, it's not easy to do. You might just do one and that's it. You've had
just 1 30-second burst.
And then you start, you would build that up over time. And sit training, it's really good because it helps mitigate brain fog. Ooh. Yeah, and through that elevation of the heart rate and pumping everything around the body. And then obviously really good for your mental health, releasing endorphins. Yes.
Because we have to be careful not to load too much cortisol into our bodies, right, when we're over-exercising, because that cortisol is obviously a hormone. And I have experienced when I was running a PR agency, I was not doing the right exercise. I was doing full-on HIIT first thing in the morning, like running around like a blue-ass fly all day, running an event in the evening, and like I was laying cortisol on top of my cortisol body, and I was probably at this... I was in my mid-30s, but not necessarily perimenopausal, but too much cortisol isn't good for you, is it?
No, so it's with cortisol, so that happens, it's like a flight or fight response that happens in the brain. So the hypothalamus will release chemicals to say, right, something's not quite right here.
High alert.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And then when your cortisol is elevated... obviously your stress levels are elevated, but in response to that, the body starts to store fat, especially tummy fat.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's because there's no nutrients coming in. So like when we look at fasted training, for example, again, it's based on male data, and fasted training just doesn't serve women well because, like say, you've got that heightened level of cortisol because there's no nutrition going in. So when there's no nutrition, the hypothalamus then goes, well, what's going on? Yeah. And in response to that, the body will store the fat, and then it'll also start to pull fat from elsewhere in your, pull energy, fuel from elsewhere in your body, being your muscles. So when you're saying like, get up and I go in and do this HIIT exercise and I've had no food, I've had a black coffee or something, it can be counterproductive because your body's just eating at its own muscle stores to fuel your workout.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Whereas if you would have had a bit of carb and a bit of protein before that, it would have had something there to stop that elevation of cortisol.
This is fascinating because I was always bloated as well.
Yeah.
And that's why, and that's relatable to the meno belly as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So I think it does. I think doctors recommend fasted.
Really?
So as a conversations, don't quote me on it, but, conversations between ladies that we've had, and they've said, the doctors have said to try fasting.
Yeah.
As a way to reduce the calorie intake, so then they'll lose weight. And again, just as like with fasted training, it doesn't work for women. So within about half an hour of waking up, your cortisol level naturally spikes. And then to help stop this from happening, if you have something small in the morning, like 10 to 15 grams of protein and a couple of grams of carbs, that can stop that spike from happening.
Ooh.
Yeah, so for me, I make the night before a protein iced coffee.
Ooh, yummy.
It's very nice in the morning.
So what's in that then?
So it's just a couple of ounces of milk.
Any milk, fine.
Yeah, I mean, if you have almond milk, use a sweetened one because it's got a bit of sugar in it.
Yeah.
So it'll add to the glucose and the carb side of things. But yeah, I just have cow's milk in mine.
Yeah.
And then 15 grams of protein. I'm not a massive coffee drinker, but I do half a teaspoon of coffee. But if you want to whack more in, then that's fine.
Right.
And then put it in the fridge the night before, and then it's an easy grab first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
That if somebody doesn't like food, that's quite an easy way just to get that nutrition into the body. And then maybe if you don't mind eating, a couple of spoons of Greek yogurt and half a banana, a slice of toast with a bit of nut butter on it.
I love a nut butter.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be a lot. It's just something that to put in the body. So then, you're supplying the body with the glucose. So then it's got fuel in the body to be able. The glucose gives the body fuel. So then it's there, accessible for the exercise. And,
so it's not drawing on your muscle.
Yeah.
Or creating that cortisol belly, essentially.
Yeah.
Because for us poor old women in peri and meno, there's the one hand, all the diet culture out there, and there's so much pressure to be slim and, the diet pen culture, which is not good for your body because therefore you're just not eating on that. You're not putting nutrients in your body that, as we've just had this whole discussion, your body desperately needs fuel and the right fuel. So you're in this stage where you've got the meno belly, you're not feeling great, your energy's low, and you have these two contradictions of having to eat well, but we must stay slim because society says that we need to be this way and this shape. And I
think especially now women that are going through perimenopause and postmenopause. So menopause is just one day. On the calendar.
Yeah, I know everyone thinks it's...
it's like this big span.
20 years from 50 to 70.
Yeah, so it is just one day. So it's a full 365 days since your last period.
Yeah.
That's menopause. Happy birthday, menopause.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's postmenopause. So
interesting.
So we've either got perimenopause or postmenopause.
Yeah, and now this is something that a lot of people don't realise or understand.
Yeah.
They're thinking it's peri and meno. You're either in peri or meno for basically most of your life.
Yeah.
But you're not.
No, so it is, you've got one and the other. But it is a long time though that you're experiencing. I mean, you can have symptoms, 10 years before you actually hit menopause, and then you've still got postmenopause symptoms.
Yeah.
People that are going through menopause now are from an era where it was fashion to be smaller, to be skinny and to weigh less.
Yeah.
And, when you look back at of the exercise regimes, for example, so you're always seeing women on the cardio machines or on the treadmills, or they're doing aerobic classes. And like that style of training is great for cardiovascular health, for mental health. If you're doing classes, it's good for socializing, things like that. But what we are missing is that it's not about being skinny. This narrative needs to change. It's not about being skinny, it's about being strong. It doesn't matter about the number on the scale. What matters is your body composition. And I do think people really struggle with that. They become obsessed with the number on the scale. It has so much power over them. And it is always about being smaller, and that's just not a way to sustain a good, healthy life, over a span of time. If we're looking at longevity and stuff like that, we don't want to be skinny, we want to be strong.
If you love PSI Love Me and want to dive in deeper, then join the Evolve Woman, my 8-week online coaching program, which will take you on a transformative journey of self-discovery, fulfillment, and to find the joy and love you so deserve. Check out my Instagram, Lynda Williams Coach, to find out more.
And so we talked about the SIT training, how bursts of cardio can really support brain fog and your mental health. And potentially, does it emulate or support hormones in your muscles, or is that weight training?
Weight training.
Okay, so let's get into weight training.
Yes, so weight training is not a body pump class. So it isn't light weights, high reps. It is going into the gym. It's lifting heavy shit. Yeah. So we want to. The reason why we do want to implement weight training is because when we're hitting perimenopause, postmenopause, the hormones obviously are taking a decline, and estrogen is an anabolic hormone, so that's gonna build muscle. And when that hormone decreases, then the muscles don't build anymore. So this is why we often hear women feeling weaker and more like less stable through their joints and stuff. And that's because estrogen's declining.
So the muscle mass is naturally declining.
Which obviously naturally happens with age, but then or more so when we're getting to peri and postmenopause. So we've got to counter that. And we can counter that with weights. So by adding a heavy load and a resistance, you're making your body contract. You're making the muscles contract strong. So you're forcing your muscles to work. And then when you're forcing them to work, then that's when everything gets fired up. You're going to create muscle mass. But without that heavy load, we're not going to be able to achieve that.
No. And it's when the muscle is ripped, that's when it's almost like teared.
So you cause small micro tears. And then when they fuse back, you want to, you do that with protein for recovery. And then they build back stronger.
So speaking of protein, it's recommended, and you recommend this in your program as well, that women in peri and post-meno, we need more protein. So the daily recommended amount at the moment is 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram body weight. It's just not enough. So I like to start people off at around 1.6 grams of protein. Wow, that's quite a lot.
Which is a big difference to the recommendations. Again, based on male data.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
So, yeah, when I would do the programs, I start people 1.5, 1.6.
Yeah.
In the aim of building that protein intake up, ideally to around 2 grams. And then that changes for people that are having menstrual cycles. So you might want to when we're saying about this, about the luteal phase, and that progesterone's grabbing carbohydrate, and so progesterone is the opposite to estrogen, that's catabolic, so that's breaking things down.
Right.
So to help counter that, you've put your carbohydrates in, so there you go, progesterone, you can have those, but then we'll also add a little bit extra protein so we can continue to build so it doesn't affect the muscle mass build. And then when we're referring to peri and postmenopause, again, because estrogen is declining and that is the building basis for building muscle. So we've countered that with the lifting, with the heavy lifting, but then to also support that, we add the protein, extra protein in.
Yeah.
So for peri-postmenopause, you're looking probably more like 2.2 to 2.4 grams per kilogram.
Yeah. So if you weigh, say, 60 kilos, you're looking at 120 grams of protein a day.
Yeah.
And what are some of the easy ways that you can get more protein into your diet without going, oh my God, I have to eat a whole chicken a day?
Yeah, so it freaks people out initially because they see the plate and they're like, whoa. So,
it's like going back to the Atkins diet, having steak and eggs for your breakfast.
Yeah, and I get it is a lot. So that's why I scale it back and we work up slowly towards those targets. So an easy way to do it is split it throughout the day. So if you can start by having 30 grams of protein in each meal. So it's just being vigilant of what's on your plate, you know, having a nice even split of the macronutrients. So you've got your fats, your proteins and your carbohydrates. Obviously, if you're peri-postmenopause, maybe the split would be 40% protein, 35% carbs, you know, and finding that a higher intake of protein there. So yeah, if you split the protein throughout the day at like 30 grams per meal, and then maybe your snacks, you could look at doing 15 to 20 grams of protein there, and then just trying to add. So say if you have a Greek yogurt, for example, adding some flax seeds, some chia seeds in there. So they're all protein based. So they're building it without over-facing yourself as well at the same time.
Yeah.
But protein's great because then once you're eating the protein, you're making those right choices for your food and eating nutrient-dense food. And then it stops like things in the evening, you know, wanting to snack and you're taking multiple journeys into the kitchen whilst you're watching your soaps or whatever. When you've eaten properly throughout the day and good amount of food, healthy food, then you don't have those cravings on the evening.
No, because protein obviously takes a lot more time to digest, and that's why you don't become as hungry as quickly.
Yeah.
And then with protein, I mean, for me, I have protein shakes. I do cook whole chickens, but it's just so easy. If you whack a chicken in the oven, even if you're living on your own or with your partner, your family, it's cheap and it's easy. Like bung a lemon and some garlic up its bum, shove it in the oven.
Sorted.
Yeah, exactly. You can have it with your evening meal. You can have it cold on a salad or a sandwich the next day. Nuts are amazing as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
Seeds. I have a lot of seed crackers that I make. Your Greek yogurt, kefir yogurts are out there with added protein. There's quite a lot out there.
Quark's good.
Quark,
yeah. I recently discovered quark.
Yeah.
I was new to it. But that's really good. That's high in protein. And cottage cheese as well, like eggs.
Eggs are amazing.
Yeah.
And salmon, I'm a big fan of salmon because obviously all the omega-3s and 6s and 9s, which is amazing for your body as well. So beyond the scale, you know, I'm not a fan of weighing myself, and I don't, you know, you weigh yourself, but you have a really healthy mindset, and I do as well, but my body size and weight fluctuates, and I know what's going on in it, and I just can't be bothered weighing myself and letting that dictate my mood for the day. Absolutely. Oh, I put on 3 kilos. Yeah. Well, it's probably either my water retention or my hormones fluctuating, or I might just need a, good visit to the loo. Who knows? Yeah. Who knows? But what are some of the ways that you can really track how you're doing throughout peri and post-meno when you're having a new and refreshed approach to nutrition and exercise, and indeed if you're on your HRT patches? What are some of the other areas that you can look out for to monitor your progress? So obviously the big one is how you're feeling. Yeah. So if you're feeling better, then you're eating the right things, and then that'll reflect on your mood. If you wanted to physically track it, body composition is the best thing to look at. So I said to you the other day an example of weight versus body composition. So I checked my BMI, and where I sit weight is borderline overweight for my height and my age. And yet when I did my body composition, that came up at 73% muscle mass, 23% fat, and my metabolic age was 21, and I'm 36 in a few weeks. So 15 years younger. Yes. And that, so if I was to go off the scale and just gone off BMI, that would have massively impacted how I felt about myself and my body. Whereas when I look at the body composition, and it's like, oh, right, okay, I'm happy with that. Yeah. So that's a really good way to track. Measurements, if you wanted to take body measurements, how your clothes are fitting. Yeah, I normally go by if I've got a muffin top or not. Yeah. How tight are the jeans today? Oh, if they feel comfortable. That's it. If they're feeling a bit snug or whatever. So, I mean, I've on people when they're on my program, and if they said, oh, I've weighed myself and I've gained a couple of pounds, and I'm like, stop weighing, because it's my friend said it was called the sad step. Oh, the sad step. It's not the naughty step, it's the sad step. And it does have such an impact. And you step on the scale, and if it's a negative outcome, you've gained weight, straight away you're stressed about it. Yes. And then what happens when you're stressed? Your cortisol elevates, and then you store more body fat. Just bin them. I know. Just bin them. Absolutely. Yeah, we normally get on the scales, put the shower on. Oh, let's just weigh ourselves, and then we're like, it sets your mood for the day, doesn't it? Does, and you're like, and then you chastise yourself and beat yourself up with a stick. It has far too much power over people. Yeah. And again, it is a narrative that needs to change. We need to move past stepping on it. Yeah. And go off the other ways that we can track how we're progressing. Yeah. And with body composition, how do we measure that? Do we need another machine, or how do we do that? Do you need a weighing scale? Maybe don't bin it at every type of scale. So you can get them at home. You can source them off Amazon or whatever, and you can. I don't know how accurate they are in comparison to ones that you see in the gym, where you grab the handles. And it really takes on everything, doesn't it? Yeah, so I don't know what the comparison is, but we have them at home where you step on it, and then it has like 4 little... The metal plates. Yeah, and then it picks up from that, so... That's one way to do it, but don't look at the weight bit when you step on it. Yeah. I have got some scales like that. They are hidden in my bathroom somewhere because they're normal weighing scales, but they have got a program on there that you can do the body composition. So I might go back and try and tinker with the composition thing and have a go at that. Yeah. It'll be good to know. And that's the thing with what you were saying about that mind-body connection. Like, how are we actually feeling? Because, like, as busy women, like all the women in the gym... A lot of them are mums, they've got jobs, whether that's part-time or full-time, and they're going about their day. It's about stopping and checking in, how am I feeling? And I think some of the ways that I've always tracked how I'm feeling when I've gone through ups and downs in life is actually a little journal that I start at the end of each day or the beginning of each day. It could be a gratitude journal, but I'll actually put on there how I'm feeling and then monitor how my mental health is over a couple of weeks or whatever when I'm going through a tough time at work or whatnot. But the same can be done for your clients, right? They can track how they're feeling, their energy levels, how they slept. Yeah. The bloatedness, once they've got past that change of implementing the protein. Past that bit, first. Yeah. And then, Skin? What about skin?
So my mum actually, she's done the programme, and she said she's not, and you know, when someone said, and you're like, oh yeah, actually, and so she's always suffered with really big bags under her eyes, and they have gone.
Have they?
Yeah, they have gone. And you can see it. Her skin, she's just so much more radiant because she's feeling happier, because she's fueling her body with the right stuff. And she's never done exercise. I mean, she's tapped in and out of it, you know, jogs down the prom, but she's never been persistent with it. She's never... She's had a gym membership for 12 months and never stepped foot in there, you know, she's one of those. And she is seeing such big changes, and... where she's not seeing it on the scale, but she said her clothes are fitting looser, and you know, she feels happier, she's energetic, she's getting up in the morning. Before she was staying in bed 8, 9, 10 o'clock, and then when she did get up, as my dad described it, face like a slapped arse. Maybe edit that bit out.
Well, that would really help her mood as well, having a guy
that's
say
it.
that.
I know. But it's like, you know, you get up first thing in the morning, but it's like, now there's the change of, you know, she's getting up, and she's like, she logged a workout this morning before I'd even done anything. And
you're an early riser. You're at 5 a.m, aren't you?
Yeah, so, you know, it does also reflect in that way as well, you know, your energy levels, and then externally, you know, you'll see your skin begin to change and stuff. So
and it's not just feeling, but I'm actually doing more. I've got more hours in my day.
More productive.
Reclaim my life. I've got an extra 3 hours a day to do stuff, to enjoy things. I'm enjoying things more. I'm enjoying time with my family, with my partner, with my kids, with my grandkids, whatever stage you're at, because I've got more energy. And it's revitalising your life, essentially. Incredible. And change is hard at any age, right? We all want to be better, do better, whether that's, you know, your diet, your work, relationships. But change, they say change really happens in a couple of months, right? Just over 2.5 months. There's lots of studies out there. They say it's 31 days to change. They say it's 66 days to change. But it's really, I've experienced about 2.5 months, isn't it? What kind of mindset tips and tricks do you have for people who are trying to kind of have a different approach to whether it's their exercise, nutrition, to actually stick with it? Because when you're going through change, it's not like, oh, wake up in the morning, you instantly feel amazing.
No, it's a roller coaster.
It is.
Yeah.
So what tips do you have to help people really stick at it?
I think it is hard, isn't it? Because it's individual to the person. I think being in a community, you know, so that I think that helps. That accountability as well.
Yes, accountability for sure.
And then not always listening to what you see or hear, whatever, on social media. I think that has a massive impact onto people's mindsets. So, you know, just take a step away and just focus on your own path. Yes,
we're also unique in our own compositions and our own journeys, our own mindsets.
Yeah, and what works for one person might not necessarily work for another person.
And people will experience, so for your program, for instance, I bet all your clients are wildly different in terms of how they embrace the program, number one, and how they kind of get on with it, with the exercise and the nutrition. Number two, how they're feeling. I'm sure that's wildly different.
Yeah.
And some will see the changes earlier, some will see the changes later. So it's looking at, okay, I want to feel different. I don't want to go back to feeling that way.
Yeah.
So the only way is through, really, is that old saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So for listeners who want to learn more about your programs and connect with you, what's coming up? How can they get in touch and learn more?
So I've got a Facebook page and an Instagram page, both Melannie Mulholland Online Fitness for Women.
Yeah.
And then on the pages, on the bio, there is a link to my page.
Yeah.
And on the page, it explains the different programs that I offer. So instead, it is all online.
Yeah. So anyone can join. It's not just people within our community.
Oh,
and vicinity.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So anyone can join. And then there's 3 different programs at the moment. There's a makeover program, which is the full 360 of everything. Yeah, we have like a deep dive into somebody's life, and we look at different ways in which we can help mitigate perimenopause, menopause symptoms, and then incorporating exercise and nutrition into that. And then there is exercise programs and nutrition programs that are separate as well. If someone didn't want to do the full makeover, but they wanted a little bit of support with either of those, then that option is available as well.
Yeah, so wherever you're at on your journey.
Yeah, and you don't have to be peri and post-menopause either. It can be people that are still having cycles. Like the program still resonates with them because it's based on female data.
Yeah,
so it doesn't have to be on age. It is about females.
So it's actually quite good for younger girls to start it, because at least they can
get put it in
genned
place.
Up. Yeah, they can get all the education of, okay, this is what's going to be happening to my body in the next 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
At least I can start understanding and planning now, and it's not like, oh, I've got all these symptoms, what the hell's going on in my body?
Yeah, no, that's it, yeah. And, you want people to be able to embrace it and not be feared. It's so feared. And I mean, I was the same. I was hearing it. I was like, these are like horror stories.
Yeah.
And we don't, it shouldn't be feared. I read something in a book, and it said Asian cultures see it as a transition in life. And they embrace that transition. And I thought that's really nice way to look at it. It's like a second life.
It's just a journey, it's an evolution, it's our makeup, we don't have a choice, we're going through it, so we might as well embrace it.
Absolutely.
and enjoy the journey, and as you said, having this strong community of other women who are going through it is really, really important as well. And if there was one change you wish every woman listening to this podcast today, in terms of how she approaches her health and well-being, and indeed peri or post-meno, what would that be? Just one. You can give me three.
I'll give you three. Embrace it, as we just said. It's got such a stigma.
Yeah.
And we really need to bring positivity to it rather than negativity. Ditch the scales.
Ditch the scales.
And eat protein.
Eat protein. Embrace it, ditch the scales, and eat protein.
Yeah.
Well, Melannie, I have learned so much again from you today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on PSI Love Me. I've learned loads. I'm sure our listeners will absolutely eat this up, along with your copious amounts of protein. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to hear what's next for you.
I hope you've learnt some interesting nuggets to weave into your everyday life to feel a little lighter, brighter, and inspired. If you loved today's episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It helps more high-achieving women like yourselves to find us. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Lynda Williams Coach, for more daily inspiration and updates. That's it for today's episode of PSI Love Me.